Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending this section. I would like to thank Tina that for 3 years now has been organizing this section. So let's get to it. And for the time of the presentation, I'm going to turn my video off. Today, I'm going to tell you about a game that I personally have been played for a few years now, maybe 7. I'm not sure if you are all familiar with the game, so I'm going to take a few minutes to present it to you and to explain the rules and playing dynamics. The game is called Hearthstone, and it is a free-to-play online digital collectible card game developed and published by Blizzard Entertainment. Originally subtitled Heroes of Warcraft, Hearthstone builds upon the existing lore of the Warcraft series by using the same elements, characters, and relics. The game features cross-platform play, allowing players on any supported device to compete with one another, restricted only by geographical region account limits. There are 3 main servers, which are US, Europe, and Asia. Unfortunately, the account and progress are non-transferable from one server to the other. I know players who created multiple accounts on different servers to play more. The game is a turn-based card game between 2 opponents using constructed decks of 30 cards along with a selected hero with a unique power. There are 8 available heroes, and more can be unlocked by playing. Here are the heroes: Priest, Thief, Warlock, Warrior, Druid, Hunter, Mage, and Paladin. And then there are more that you can get by playing more. The cards are divided in common, rare, epic, and legendary, and the division is based on the frequency with which you can find them in a pack and on their power effect. Then, of course, there are the cards linked to an expansion that are also divided according to the same rank. Here an example of cards. Every card has a colorful gem. Orange is for legendary, which also has a dragon on top of them, which is pretty cool. Gray for common, blue for rare, and purple for epic. Players use their limited mana crystals to play abilities or summon minions to attack the opponent, with the goal of destroying the opponent's hero, winning matches and completing quests, earning game gold, rewards in the form of new cards, and other in-game prizes. Players can then buy packs of new cards through gold or microtransactions to customize and improve their decks. The game features several modes of play, including casual and ranked matches, draft arena battles, and single-player adventures. New content for the game involves the addition of new card sets and gameplay, taking the form of either expansion packs or adventures that reward the player with collectible cards upon completion. One curiosity: in contrast to other games developed by Blizzard, Hearthstone was an experimental game developed by a smaller team based on the appreciation of collectible card games at the company. The game was designed to avoid pitfalls of other digital collectible card games by eliminating any possible plays from an opponent during a player's turn, and by replicating the feel of a physical card game within the game's user interface. Many of the concepts, as well as our assets, were based on those previously published in the physical World of Warcraft trading game. As a side note, just to show the popularity of these kind of games, in November 2018, Blizzard reported 100 million of players with an earning of nearly 40 millions per month as of August 2017. And this is data from the official Hearthstone website. Saviors of Uldum is Hearthstone's 12th expansion, featuring 135 new collectible cards, and it was released on August 2019. These are the cards divided by heroes. The story follows the action of the Rise of the Shadows, which was the previous expansion. Following the League of Evil's successful theft of the magical city of Dalaran, the nefarious evildoers have turned to the land of Uldum, a place of vast desert and ancient secrets. While the villain's ultimate goal is still a mystery, all is not lost. So the brave League of Explorers, Reno Jackson, Ellie Starseeker, Brand Bronzebeard, and Sir Finley Milton, that you can see in the background of the slide, have returned to save the world from arch-villain Raphaam and his cohorts. And here is a presentation of Raphaam in his Egyptian look. The expansion sees the introduction of the new keyword reborn, devastating plague spells that affect the entire board, and the reintroduction of the quest mechanics. The entire story of Uldum is Egyptian archaeology mythology based, wherein High Keeper Ra and his followers, one group of the followers is called Anubisat, installed the Forge of Origination in Uldum. The forge would regulate the rhythms of the earth and fortify the world soul's form, but would also be able to completely re-originate the planet in case of systemic corruption. Ra then assigned to his followers to watch over the tower, but eventually, a century later, Ra was imprisoned, and one evil king wanted to take control of the tower to rule the world. Uldum's desert-themed battlefield has an Egyptian look. The battlefield includes a secret feature which, when triggered, plays the League of the Explorers theme, which is here for you. In this slide, I have underlined the elements in the game that are somehow connected with archaeology. A map of Uldum, there are several archaeological elements such as the ancient tomb, the obelisk of the sun, 100% Egyptian theme, the temple, the lost city, which are the ones that are circled in red, and many more. After seeing the components of the expansion, I noticed that most of the minions with reborn are mummies. So I thought, wait, is this accidental, or did they try to match the effect of the Egyptian minions with the minions themselves? Meaning, was this an attempt to develop an educational game? Here are all the minions with reborn in the expansion. 9 out of 15 are somehow related with Egypt, or at least they have something that I thought had connection with Egypt. And I thought the connections between mummies and the reborn effect is that mummies are the preserved body of the dead that will reborn once reunited with his soul. The reborn feature was the one that triggered my idea. So I looked into the plague spells as well and tried to see some connection between the name and the effect. And again, the plagues are recorded in the Bible and can be thought as historical facts that are related to Egypt. Although it's stretched, there could be a connection. First of all, the Egyptian plagues were 10, and there are only 5 here. Secondly, as soon as one reads the name of the plagues, you can see that these plagues have nothing to do with the Egyptian ones. I see a connection between the name and the effect, but this is irrelevant to our purpose. Last but not least, the quest, which is the must-have feature of every respectable archaeological game. So every card has a quest, something that you have to do, and then a reward, which can be a new hero power or a very powerful card. So I decided to develop a questionnaire to submit to the game's players to see what they thought about the expansion, the archaeological theme of the expansion, and educational games in general. I used Google Forms and posted on the Hearthstone community Facebook group, incurring the disappointment of the admin, and the Italian Hearthstone Facebook page. Here are the questions. I started with a few general questions regarding Hearthstone, and from question 5 to 11, I tackled specifically the Saviors of Uldum expansion and educational video games. I should have added a gender question to make observations on the demographic, but I realized it too late after some players already submitted their answers. On the Hearthstone, the community Facebook page, I got 21 responses, while on the Italian only 37, for a total of 58 responses. I collected the data from the responses after a week. I am keeping the results separate as there are some differences and I'm interested to see the trends in the two countries. First of all, at the question, how much time do you spend playing Hearthstone every day? 32% of the Italian responders say 2 hours, while the majority of the international community spends about an hour playing every day. These are some of the responses to what are your preferred gaming elements. We go from a quiet room and a comfy chair to open world, strategy, mystery strategy, replayability, difficulty and enjoyment, fun, lore that comes up a few times, canvas story collection, anything that requires thought and creativity, discover mechanic, and action of some sort. Question 3, do you like history archaeology-based games? Almost 90% of the Italians, 33 people said yes, and 76%, 16 people in the international community does as well. There is a relevant difference, and I wonder if that has to do with the game commercial offer in the country. These are some of the responses to what are your favorite must-have features of a video game, and again, we go from fun gameplay and good graphics to narrative storyline. There's always something new, something to look forward to, an intriguing story, lore, and good visual and audio aesthetics, fun, lore, progression and achievement, no pay to win and have to be fun, collecting things, and potential of doing crazy stuff. Question 5, did the story, the location, the characters, and the minions of the Saviors of Uldum expansion remind you of any of these ancient civilizations? The majority recognize an Egyptian flavor in this case, 16 plus 31, but I wonder what the 19% other refers to. This question gave me an unexpected result. Do you think the expansion in the adventure reflects an actual archaeological and historical knowledge? 15 people in the international community said no, but only 19 out of 34 of the Italians said no. And it made me think if subconsciously the Italian community is expecting that a game with an archaeological setting is to be educational as well. The developers of the game didn't mean for the game to be educational. So at the question, did you learn something about ancient Egypt from the game? Fortunately, 100% said no. However, this question is slightly in contrast with the previous one, in my opinion, but I would be interested to hear what you guys think. Why are so many cards Egypt-based or have some reference to ancient Egypt? It seems like Egypt is the choice when it comes to archaeological-based game, based on the answers. It is actually associated with the past, not really, I would say, with Assassin's Creed Origins. The storyline revolves around the reborn mechanic that they kind of coined the process of rebirth in the Egyptian scripts. Because the inspiration behind fiction comes from real life, with the story based in a desert with mythical creatures, there's really no better civilization to compare. Lore, because the reborn mechanic has lots of flavor and it is the League of the Explorers, because fantasy and ancient Egypt are the best combo. This is the most interesting question in my opinion, and I think the answer is equally interesting. Over 50% of the responders, 71.4 plus 86.5, meaning 15 plus 32 people, is intrigued about the idea of an educational game based on collectible cards. And over 60%, 13 plus 23, would buy a collectible card educational game. The combo learning while playing is well received. At the question, please share comments about the potential of educational video games and your interest. A lot of players underline the fact, the fun, interactive, and engaging aspect that a video game must have. I read some skepticism about the possibility that an historical educational video game can be also fun. We need to change that stereotype. I found very interesting a comment that I underlined here. I think it's important to teach actual history. I've seen so many games in the narrative of Western saviors, read white saviors, and foreign bastards barbarians. Since my history education didn't cover, for example, the mass murder of Native Americans, I always thought Columbus and his crew actually got the land from them totally out of free will. This is because that was the narrative I saw in the video games. I also thought Native people were stupid and uncivilized because that's how they are described in my video games. which was the only place I learned about some parts of history until I became an adult. I think it's a great idea to teach about history, but be sure to do it a correct way and avoid stereotypes that are still harming people today. A fundamental issue is the responsibility of the message conveyed in the video game. If a video game claims to be educational, it needs to be accurate. To conclude, being an archaeologist and a Hearthstone player, I was thrilled when the Saviors of Uldum extension was released. I'm also supportive of archaeogaming, and I wanted to investigate if this was an attempt of creating an educational video game. Although this was not the case, the Hearthstone community supports and is interested in the idea of a collectible card educational game. The main concerns regard the successful development of such a game, as there is a common idea that something which is accurate and academic must be boring. Our goal is to debunk this idea and to show the general public that science is fun and archaeogaming can be really fun, paying extreme attention to the accuracy of the games we label as educational. Thank you very much for listening. I'm looking forward for your questions. Ciao.